Jared. JD will be in just a minute. He's got a few things he wants to say to open, and then we'll just turn it over to questions from you folks, and then afterwards, JD will be available for one-on-one. So he'll be right in, and we'll get started. Thanks. And if you do have a question, please raise your hand, and we'll get you a mic to ask.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming out this morning. Yesterday was a difficult day in a lot of ways. I informed Scott Howson that he was no longer going to be general manager of the Blue Jackets, and we chatted a little bit. And with that being said, I must say that Scott was extremely professional and carried himself with the dignity that I had expected. He was very helpful to me in coming to Columbus and becoming a part of the Blue Jackets family. I will talk to Scott in a week or so when all the dust settles and see what he wants to do. We'd love to have him do some work for us. And for Scott, that would be a good way for him, too, to stay in the NHL game, which would be a good thing. With that being said, I would like to announce that we are going to bring Jarmo Kekalainen in as the next general manager of the Blue Jackets. Jarmo and I have a relationship that goes back a number of years, most recently with the St. Louis Blues organization, where he was assistant general manager and also in charge of the amateur draft for the Blues. He wanted to be a general manager. He decided through a good offer to go back to Finland after being here for 13 years. He went back to Finland and was in charge of the Jokerit hockey club in the Finnish Elite League. And he took them, as they stand right now, I believe they're 9 points up in first place. Their attendance is up 36%, so he did a heck of a job. His dream always has been to be a general manager at the NHL level, starting with the Ottawa Senators franchise a number of years ago. He worked there with people like Ray Shero, who's now in Pittsburgh, and Peter Chiarelli, who's in Boston. I've always had a close working relationship with Jarmo, and then a friendship that really developed working with him in St. Louis. We started talking in seriousness just a few days ago, and then were able to make an agreement yesterday and finalize it this morning. He had a gentleman's agreement with his ownership in Finland, and the out and the gentleman's agreement was that he would be able to leave at any time if he was given a general manager's job at the NHL level. His owner was very, very good about it. Just outstanding about the whole situation. I'm very happy for Jarmo. As you know, he's going to be the first European general manager in our league. I look at it, yes, he is, but I look at Jarmo as a person that has a world of experience. 30% of the players in our league are European. Jarmo's he's very intelligent about the world of hockey worldwide, not only Europe, but also here in North America. And we expect him to do a very good job for us. He's very excited about it. With that being said, I'll be happy to take questions.
John, so much of this organization's struggles have been put on its problems with the draft or development. Mm-hmm. Jarmo has a long history and long success with drafting. 3 first-round draft picks. How important was that in this hiring and his expertise in that area?
Well, it certainly plays into it. You try to look at the whole picture. You try to look at everything that you want in a general manager, and you obviously look at the strengths. We feel here that we know how important the draft is, especially with a deep draft, and this one is a deep draft. And we've, as an organization, have had a number of meetings already, trying to set up how we're zeroing in on on the draft itself. And then this is going to also give Jarmo some time to really jump into this. And he'll become a major voice regarding the upcoming draft. That certainly played into it, but it's a part of it. It's an important part of it, but it's certainly not all of it.
John, since his background is in amateur scouting, does this signal the direction will be to build from young players more so than to try to build off what you have right now, perhaps?
Well, I think that I've tried to make that clear with our franchise from the time that I got here going forward. I'm very interested in research, draft, and development. If you look at a lot of the very good franchises in this league, that's what their teams have done. And that is certainly a very important part of it. You have to get to, as an organization, get to a certain level where you get involved with adding the proper free agents to get you to the next step or over the hump. And we all know that this club has worked to develop the picks they have ahead of them, and we know seriously how important those picks are. And now whether these kids that we end up picking step in right away, I don't know. Sometimes you rather doubt it, but you've got to develop them and develop them properly, and that's all part of building the foundation that we want to build here for the Blue Jackets, to have this team be a good club for a number of years, not just a quick fix type of thing. So that's all part and parcel of this thing going forward.
John, how much was his availability part of this, or was a big part of it the fact that you thought it was time to make a change? Did you feel like it was time to move? It
all plays into it, all of it. I knew Jarmo was available. I knew this. I actually went over last year to something called the Karelija Cup that was being held in Finland. It was a 4-team tournament, and had dinner with Jarmo. And I knew in discussions with Jarmo that he wanted to come over to the NHL and get back and be a general manager. That was his dream, and something he's worked very hard at. He's a very smart guy. He's a graduate at Colgate University. He's taken a lot of courses to enhance his way of doing business here in North America, and he's a very worldly person. And I think that knowing that he wanted to come over, knowing our drafting situation, knowing we want to go forward, sometimes you have to make changes, sometimes not at the fault of the other person. And again, I want to reiterate that Scott Howson is a good man. He was very helpful, very, very helpful to me with what I've gone through here to get up and running in Columbus. But we're in a phase where we want to make sure the message is very loud and very clear that we're in a position of change. We're in a position of getting a culture that's going to be in the right place. I've seen Dubinsky and Anisimov, 2 of our players, come over here from New York with the Rangers, and they play hard, and they play professional, and they play the right way. And we want that to be a continued message throughout our whole organization, not only here with our Blue Jackets, but also in Springfield, where they're playing very well. Let everybody know what the message is. And I will meet with our players before they go on the ice, and that's what the message is going to be to our players. We're going forward. We're going forward the right way. We're going forward in a very professional way. And this is not, and I want to make this very clear, this is not a shot at Scott. This is a shot about change and changing a culture and getting it to where I need it to get to.
John, you mentioned 30% of the league, roughly, European players, and yet there's only been a handful of NHL head coaches, even assistant coaches right now. How proud are you to give the first opportunity to a European? This is going to play big on the other side of the world for sure.
Yeah, I think, listen, when we look at the National Hockey League, it's the best league in the world, bar none, by far. And I feel, as a player, going back when I started way back in the early 70s, there was very few Americans that were playing the game, let alone Europeans. And I've seen the whole transition, and I think the world of hockey at the NHL level is a better place because of how North Americans play the game and how Europeans play the game. And we've taught each other a lot of different things, and the game has become much better because of it. I watch games every night on television, and there's competitive players that play from the United States, from Canada, from Finland, from Russia, from Slovenia, Saw Kopitar in here the other night from a small country, and he competes. We want players that compete. It doesn't matter to me where they're from. I want them to compete for the Columbus Blue Jackets and get us into a winning tradition.
John, how soon do you expect him to get here?
That's a good question. There's immigration rules and regulations we have to go through, so we're working on that right now, as soon as possible. I suspect that Jarmo's the type of guy, he'll jump on a plane and go somewhere and start scouting players immediately, whether it's in Finland or Sweden or Canada or wherever. But our club's going to go on the road today. We play out west for 3 games. Chris McFarland's going to go out there with them. I suspect I'll join them during the trip. I'm just trying to get everything arranged with Jarmo, and sooner he can get here, the better.
John, when did you, up here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. When did you come to the conclusion that there needed to be a change? Was it before you got here, after you saw the runnings? When did that hit you?
Well, you know, I try to be methodical, and I try not to just jump to conclusions because mistakes get made, and I've been able to observe, which I said I was going to do when I first got here, and I just have a gut feeling that the change was necessary. It comes from the gut, and that we're trying to go forward. Sometimes change is a necessary thing, and I feel that in our situation, when you look at the entire picture, that this is the right move. And I know Jarmo is going to have success. He's a driven man. He's going to help us in a lot of different areas. That's essentially it.
John, what effect on your scouting staff? Any right now?
No, none at all. No. Jarmo's going to come in. He knows some of the people for sure. Our scouts have worked hard knowing how important this draft is. It's been very clear to everybody. But again, Jarmo's going to come in and take a look at everything. So I just want our guys to continue to work hard, be prepared, and Jarmo, I think, can be helpful for these people. He's got a great deal of experience. He's been around the block with all this stuff. He's been through pressure situations, and I'd have to go back and look at my books, but I believe we had 3 picks one year with the Blues, and I think it was right here in Columbus when the draft was here. So it's here we go again. Hopefully it's good.
John, you acquired Howson when you took this job. You also acquired Todd Richards when you took this job. What can you say about the coaching staff and where you stand with them? Are you evaluating them as well? Status
quo. Everybody just go forward, keep working hard. I like the way the majority of our games this year, as I said to everyone when I got here, it was about work habits and energy and trying to improve. And I think most nights our guys have done that. Played very well against San Jose. I thought very well against Edmonton. We've had a couple of clunkers, there's no question. But for the most part, I want to see the honesty and integrity of a group of players playing the best that they can and show the character that they need to show. And I want that to continue.
John, is Jarmo going to be here in time to spearhead what the Blue Jackets do at the April 3rd trade deadline?
Oh yeah. He'll be here way before that. Immigration process could take just a few days. Hopefully that's how it's going to work out. But he'll be a major part of that. Trade deadlines are important, but that's a long way away. We've got a lot of hockey to play until then.
When you talked to him about the job, what was your assessment to him of the job he was coming into? Did you tell him we've got a whole lot of work to do? What's your?
It's kind of, and this will be probably the only time I mention St. Louis during this press conference. But this is kind of an instant replay in some ways. When he was in St. Louis, we went through a process that's very similar. I mean, this club was 30th last year. That's a fact of life. We're scratching and clawing to get better. We played a lot of young people. There wasn't too many games ago. We had 4 of our top 6 defensemen out. We played kids, and we had a good look at those kids. Holden, Golubov, Savard, and Eriksson. I mean, this is what we are, and we know where we're trying to get to. And Jarmo knows what we did in St. Louis and how we went through it. And in some ways, it's similar. There's no sprinkle of dust that all of a sudden you become a good hockey club. It's roll up the sleeves. There's hard work ahead, And that's what he's very excited about, is the challenge and the battle. We can all say what we want to do. We can all sit here and say we're going to work our tails off and we're going to get there, which we're going to do. But there's 29 other teams that say the same thing. And so we have to do our thing, make good decisions, and really work at it. And Jarmo knows what's expected.
John, what is it in his personality which allows him to be good as an evaluator of young talent?
Experience. He played some. He knows both sides of the Atlantic. He knows character. And I keep using that word, but it means a lot. And he's got character. In going through this process, you're going to announce a fellow by the name of Jarmo Kekalainen, and it's Kekalainen. And you sort of say, okay, well, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of different opinions on this. But it's been, from what I've seen and heard, especially people that know Jarmo, they know he's going to do a good job. They're very, very confident in his abilities.
He was a candidate 3 years ago for you in St. Louis when you brought Doug Armstrong in.
Mm-hmm.
Did you at the time, was that a tough call at the time to not give him the mantle then? And was there any sort of, if I ever have this chance again, Jarmo's the guy?
No, you can't make promises you don't know if you can keep, so I don't do that. But I know that with Jarmo, I had a great deal of respect for him. And the thing that he's done since in going to Jokerit, and it's a very proud hockey country. It's a very good league. And you can look at the results as to what he's done with that hockey club. So that put another check mark beside his name. And then when this came up, knowing our whole situation and knowing from the upcoming draft all the way through to trying to put together the right culture, knowing his character, it all fit for me.
You didn't make promises to him, but did you have it in the back of your mind?
Oh yeah, sure. I had dinner with him in Finland. You never know. So you try to have an open mind with everything in this world of hockey. It's a great world. You try to watch other organizations, see what they do. There's a lot of organizations who have some very good young people that are up and coming management people, and so you have that list. Because you never know what happens wherever you go, and when this came about, you try to think about the whole thing, and it's good to know the people you know and the people you trust, and you know how hard they're going to work for you. And Jarmo fit all those needs.
John, I would imagine through the evaluation progress, you may have put together some type of list, and a brick by brick, if you will, to use your phrase. Where does this brick fit in terms of prioritizing what needs to be done here?
This is a big brick. This is an important brick. This is a brick that's going to have a lot of weight on it, and but he welcomes that. He's had success everywhere he's been with everything he's done in the world of hockey. He was here. He worked his way up from ground zero. He knew he couldn't be a general manager at the time he decided to go back to Finland because he had a great offer there, and he took advantage of it and did a great job with it. And now that's notched him forward to this opportunity. He's worked for everything he's had, and he's had success at everything he's done. So we expect the same.
Is there a process to this? Did you talk to anybody else, or was this Jarmo from the start?
I talked to myself. You close the door. A difficult conversation, because when you do something like this and bring somebody in, somebody has to leave. So it becomes a difficult conversation. I don't know if I'm different than others, but that's the way I work. And I care about people and their families. And I know that you've got a person that is no longer here and his family's being affected, and you got another person coming in and his family's ecstatic. It's a law of the jungle in the world of hockey. Jarmo's got a wife and 2 daughters, both as young girls are American citizens. They were born over here, and they're excited as can be. But no, you shut the door. You you spend a lot of time thinking, or whether you're driving. I've driven to St. Louis and back a number of times since I took the job, just getting the move going, and that's a great time to think. And if it came to that, then who would it be, or who would you talk to, or and it just became clear that, for me at least, Jarmo was the guy.
John, considering 3 picks in the first round this year, and he's been over in Europe, do you feel he's up to speed on the depth of the draft, and will he travel a lot, if not, to get up to speed?
Yeah, he'll be relentless with it. He's going to have to rely on some of our people. He knows he's the type of guy that doesn't, he watches, he knows. I mean, he could actually be more of an advantage knowing the European kids as well as he's going to know them, because that's what you do. We're in the hockey business. He was in management. He has an understanding of what other countries do to nurture their players and who are the good ones at certain ages. And a lot of tournaments are held right in Finland. So I have no worries about that whatsoever, and we have time.
Besides the hard work ethic that you mentioned earlier, what is it that you and Jarmo prize in a player?
Well, we're in the business of winning, and it's about the talent, it's about the character of the player, but it's a puzzle that you have to fit to make a team win. You know, what do you need? Do you need a certain type of player to help yourself as a club become a better club? You can have all the defensive, really talented players in the world, but you're not going to score. You can have all the skilled players you have in the world, but a gritty team's going to knock you on your butt. So we got to work that puzzle. It's like a football team in some ways. You know, they got to have different parts to make it a team. It's like any sports team. You know, that's any sports. You need that puzzle that fits, and you need the guys that are going to play with character, that can make a difference. You can have a lot of players that are very even in talent, but somebody may want it a whole lot more than another person, and it's up to our people to find out who those people are.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you.
JD will be available for about